An AUP is a document stipulating constraints and practices that a user must agree to for access to a corporate network or the internet. A school should have an AUP to explain to students and teachers how to use the computer and network provided to them in a safe and ethical way. Some critical features that make up an AUP include an introduction, definitions, a policy statement, acceptable uses, unacceptable uses, and violations or sanctions. The expectations for staff under our AUP state that they need to ensure security of all elements of Montgomery County Public Schools computer systems, related technology, and electronic information. Staff also needs to delineate appropriate uses for all users of MCPS computer systems. Staff should promote intellectual development through the use of computer systems, related technology, and electronic information in a safe environment. And they also need to be in compliance with relevant state, local, and federal law. If a staff member does not follow those things, there are consequences put into place depending on the situation or how much they violate the AUP. Consequences could range from a conference, warning, letter of reprimand, loss of privileges, suspension without pay, demotion, dismissal, or criminal prosecution. A school's AUP for students at the school I teach at tells students that they need to understand the ownership of the Chromebook, meaning that they are only loaned this Chromebook. It is not for students to bring home or to keep. It is just throughout the academic school year that they are allowed to access academic information provided by the teacher. The student also needs to take responsibility for the Chromebook, which includes things like plugging it in at the end of every day to charge it. They must carry it with 2 hands. They cannot attempt to remove or change anything on the Chromebook. They can never leave their Chromebook in an unsecure location. They need to report any problems with their Chromebook as soon as possible to the teacher. They need to make sure that they take care of the device and they're never handling it in an inappropriate way. Students also need to take responsibility for the electronic data, meaning that they can only use the apps that are pre-downloaded onto the Chromebook. They are not to download any other information. There is also no guarantees that the data will be retained or destroyed on their Chromebook. And lastly, students are expected to be digital citizens, meaning that they respect themselves, they protect themselves, they respect others, they respect intellectual property, and they protect intellectual property. If students do not follow these things listed in the AUP, there are consequences that are put into place. Again, it depends on the severity of the action that they do, but it could range from a telephone call to parents or guardian, loss of privileges, restitution, suspension, expulsion, or criminal prosecution. These are some implementation strategies for the teacher to do with these students. First, they should go over important parts of the AUP with students. The teacher can provide students with examples of acceptable and unacceptable uses with the Chromebook. The teacher wants to make sure to use kid-friendly language with them. Also, the teacher should only give access to Chromebooks to students once the AUP is signed by the parent and the student and handed back to the teacher. The teacher also wants to be consistent with consequences that they give and make sure that they are following the procedures that are listed on the AUP. And lastly, it's important to have the AUP posted in a visible area in the classroom. It might be a good idea to post this right by the charging station for the Chromebook so students can see it every time they go and get their Chromebook. These are strategies for the teacher to practice themselves to ensure safety. They should first thoroughly read through the AUP so they understand what they are signing and what they are agreeing to. Then you want to make sure that you are actually following what the AUP says. You should report anything unusual, and finally ask any questions if you are unsure about something and you can get the clarity from your county about your AUP.